This is the Brand Gravity Show where we explore the intersection between branding and psychology so you can learn how to attract more of your ideal clients on a gut emotional level. I am your host, Kaye Putnam, psychology-driven brand strategist. Our guest today is Jana O of Jana O Media, and I am so thrilled to bring her to you because I have had the distinct honor and privilege of working very closely with Jana over the years. That has looked like different things at different times, but one of Jana's best zones of genius is her experience with Pinterest marketing. Jana O is a marketing expert and Pinterest educator for coaches, influencers, and other online experts. She teaches methods for using Pinterest for audience growth and lead generation. She's on a mission to spread the word. When set up properly, Pinterest can attract raving fans and perfect fit clients with a small investment of time each month. When this comes to my Clarity Code, CODE, branding process, this is all about generating demand for your offer. Pinterest is a fantastic platform that you may or may not have considered for getting your offer out in front of new audiences. I love Pinterest, as we'll discuss in the interview, because it's something that continues to reap benefits well after the initial time and energy investment has been put into it. And Jana has some tried and true battle-tested strategies that she shares with us about how to maximize your Pinterest marketing. Let's get to the episode. For those who haven't had the pleasure yet, can you give us a quick introduction into your world?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Jana. I am primarily a Pinterest marketing strategist and educator, and I work mostly with coaches and course creators and service-based businesses and knowledge-based businesses, so course creators as well, who are wanting to use Pinterest or are already using Pinterest to attract ideal clients and ideal buyers. But as you know, because we worked together for so long, I also kind of dip my toe into content strategy, of course, as well. And that informs my work a lot when it comes to working with people on their Pinterest marketing strategies is, okay, what content are we putting on the platform?
Yes, you are multi-talented for sure. And I cannot wait to share your genius with everybody. Why Pinterest? Like, what do you love about Pinterest?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think, the reason why I originally chose it was because I learned that when I got behind the scenes with your business many years ago, you were one of the first people that I saw that was really leveraging it in our coaching and online business kind of community in the way that you were for business. But the reason why I keep choosing it kind of year after year and continue to work and have my business really be centered on the platform is mostly because it offers people this more low maintenance and more sustainable way to get their messages out and have them be out there, their messages, and being discovered by people on autopilot when they're not actually working. So Pinterest is actually a search engine, as you know. And so one of the reasons why we love it is because like any search engine, like Google, like YouTube, which are the first and second largest search engines, Pinterest is actually the third largest search engine on the internet. Like those other search engines, when you put your content on there, even when you're stepped away from business, whether that's a month later, a year later, even I have pins for myself and for clients. Some of your pins I know just keep getting discovered over and over and over by people for months and years. So it gives us that more long-term sustainable visibility that can really be a great complement in a lot of ways to some of the strategies that are more like the rowing strategies, like, Instagram and Clubhouse and places where you show up and then your content kind of goes away really quickly. It's more ephemeral. So on Pinterest, your content stays forever and gets discovered by people forever. And that's why I love it.
Yes,
so
I
good.
love it so much. I know. I feel like it gets overlooked by so many people. And if you had to guess, why do you think that is? What keeps people away from the platform?
So I think that one of the things that people first they misunderstand the platform a little bit, and then they get in there and it doesn't give them that same quick hit of, is it endorphin? No, what's the chemical that goes to your brain?
Yeah,
and gives you
dopamine.
The dopamine hits that we get from social media. So, we jump on Instagram or TikTok, or, for me, I spend a lot of time on Clubhouse, and we get that immediate gratification, and people are giving us feedback, and it's like, ooh, this feels so good, and on Pinterest, we don't really get that. And so I think on Pinterest, people go in there and they realize that like, okay, this is different, but I'm not really sure how it's different. I'm not really sure how to use it yet. And they're not getting those dopamine hits. So the dopamine hits don't keep them on the platform like they keep us on social media. And then we don't get to see that kind of slow burn, but amazing results that kind of snowball over time on Pinterest because we're not sticking around because we don't get that dopamine hit, you know? So I think that's kind of like at the end of the day, really like the human reason why it happens. And in some ways it's too bad because more people could use it. But, you know, in some ways we like to kind of keep it our little secret too, because, you know, like
Exactly.
if everybody's doing it, then, you know, we might not get our stuff seen as much. So no, just not really. I mean, obviously, like it's my mission in life to spread the word about it. So I'm just teasing about that. But, you know, there's kind of that give and take.
Yes. Yes. The other thing I love about Pinterest is that it actually is, for better, for worse, for the platform itself, it is a gateway to other websites. Like it allows you to literally bake in your links to your content, to your site, to your tools, whatever you're promoting.
Yep.
Right behind the pin, which is very unusual for, I don't even know if there's another platform that really does that unless you're counting like Google search. So, yeah.
And YouTube a little bit, but we still have that element of, you know, keeping on the platform, but YouTube lets us put multiple links in different places. But so again, it's that search engine, you know, thing, Google, YouTube, Pinterest. And it's interesting because we're actually coming into a new era of Pinterest. It's called I coined the phrase, and it's Pinterest 3.0. And in Pinterest 3.0, we're actually going to be seeing Pinterest drive a lot more traffic again organically. So that's like a whole nother conversation for another day. But it's exciting because we're coming out of an era where Pinterest was like, maybe we want to keep people on the platform, and we have idea pins and they don't have links. And, you know, it's a kind of a long story. But for anyone who's listening, you know, anytime around 2023, you should be excited because Pinterest is already starting to show more of our linked pins to people again and whatnot. So it's pretty exciting. So
interesting.
You are correct. And it's going to be even more so in the future.
I love that. That was actually one of the things I wanted to ask you about is what is working on Pinterest right now? So the beauty of the platform is it is very evergreen. Like you can do things and it continues to provide results for you over time. But for somebody that perhaps is just starting or is thinking about ramping up and using it really intentionally, what are some of like the key pillars of seeing success?
Yeah. So, I mean, the way that I teach it is that we really have 4 pillars of Pinterest success. It's keywords, visuals that stop the scroll and get those micro conversions that we want, like people clicking and going through to our website as an example. And then the other 2 are consistency and time. And we kind of already talked about that a little bit. We touched on that because we need to be on it for a while to see the results. But I think that in terms of like what's working right now, using a variety of pin formats. And the way that I teach it is that we focus on 2. We focus on standard pins, which link to your website. And then we also focus on idea pins, which are kind of like a short form video type of pin that drive what we call engagement on Pinterest, but it's different. Engagement on Pinterest is different than engagement on social media. It's not that dopamine hit engagement. It's more like just people clicking on it, saving it to their boards, because that's a lot of what people do on Pinterest. That's actually what we mean by engagement on Pinterest. That's what that metric means in your Pinterest analytics dashboard. So it's that. And then the second thing is the keywords is really working right now. And it always works. It's funny because people say like, oh, Pinterest is changing so much. It always changes so much. And it does. Every platform does. But there are some constants. And one of them is the keyword strategy. So again, coming back to the fact that it's a search engine, if you choose keywords that are things that people are really looking for, not just things that you hope that they're looking for. So you do a little keyword research to figure it out. And then B, if you choose keywords that are also specific enough. So, you know, if you're a little bit of a search engine nerd, you probably have heard the term long tail keyword. And if anyone's listening and hasn't heard that, it just basically means a keyword phrase. So instead of just one word, it's usually a few words, and it gets down to something a little more specific. So for example, instead of, you know, you could do, you know, nutrition for hormone balancing, right? That's going to be a long tail keyword, and it's much more specific. And if that's the thing that you teach about, let's say, for example, or coach around, you're going to get in front of a much more targeted audience, and you're going to find that there's less competition. Like you're never going to rank, if you will, for nutrition on Pinterest.
Right.
But you know, if you go a little more long tail, then you do have the ability to rank, and you're going to get a more targeted audience anyway. So I'd say those are the two things I would say are working right now, is combining the different pin formats and understanding what they each do and how they work, and then using more specific keywords to get in front of the right people. Yeah.
I love that. I don't want to get too far into the weeds here, but I don't want to gloss over this idea of keyword research, because I feel like it's something that we as entrepreneurs hear all the time. Like, oh, know your keywords, do some keyword research. What has been the best strategy for you, either for clients or for yourself, for finding those long-term phrases or long tail keywords?
Yeah. So it's interesting because there are actually no third-party tools on the market that give you search volume for Pinterest. Pinterest has not opened up like its API, if you will, for that. So whereas you might use like TubeBuddy, for example, or something like that, or, there's lots of keywords everywhere is one of the ones that a lot of people use for Google, for example. There isn't really one for Pinterest. So we actually just use the Pinterest toolbar itself, and it's free. So don't pay for any tools for keyword research for Pinterest. There are some people out there that have them and they say that they work for Pinterest, but they don't really. They don't actually say that. They just imply it. And you connect the dots, and then you think you got something that works for Pinterest, but technically it doesn't. And then we use our brains, right? So we use a combination of the search bar and then our brains to think about, okay, what do my people ask about? What are my main content pillars? What are all my free offers about? My paid offers, my free content, my paid content. And you can kind of audit your content and look at it that way and say, okay, what are these things about? And then use your brain and the search bar to find the keywords that people are searching for about those things that your offers are about. So
I love that. Thank you for doing that little deep dive into that, because it's so important, and there's nuance in there that you shared that I love so much. So what stops a scroll on Pinterest in terms of graphics?
Well, it really depends on your audience, and your niche and your vertical and all those things. But, I do like bright colors. I like a lot of minimalism, maybe not in the same pin, but you can try those different tactics, because sometimes like everybody's using bright colors. So some minimalism can be a good way to stand out. And one thing I love to recommend, and this is actually something my friend Heather taught me, just kind of a shout out to my friend Heather, because it's important to mention her when I mention this, because it was a good lesson, but she taught it to me, is you can go and you can search on Pinterest for, let's say, one of your most important long tail keywords, right? And then look at the top several pins. And you can look and say, okay, everybody seems to be doing this. Maybe I'll go and I'll do the opposite. Maybe I'll create something that isn't super colorful, that is more minimalist and has a lot of like negative or white space. And that would probably stand out in that feed, right? So that's one thing you can try. So it kind of is like, sort of like, sometimes what stands out is what everybody else isn't doing.
Right. Zag when everybody is zigging. Exactly.
Yeah. So those are some things. And then like text overlay is important on pins to give context. So writing words on the pin that gives people an idea of what that is about and what's in it for them, if they click on it, is going to be a huge factor in whether or not people click on your thing or just keep scrolling. So that's something to consider too, making sure that you're using good text overlay that's easy to read and compelling.
I remember distinctly, for some reason, I was creating a batch of pins like really early in my Pinterest days, and I had this blog article that, now this just seems a little bit cringy, but just to bring specificity to this, the headline was, "Are you hiding?" And it was about the fear of visibility. But that wasn't what I put. I put, "Are you hiding?" on the pin. And of course that's not going to get clicked, because there's no context, there's no targeting. Right. It doesn't tell people what they're getting. Right. So it's not just curiosity, it's actually tapping into that good copywriting, a good content strategy, and being clear about what somebody gets when they click on the pin. It's so important.
Absolutely. And on Pinterest, the great thing too is that if you get a little more specific, then you can also target a keyword, because the AI can see the words on the pin. So if you say something like, do you have like social media anxiety, or, something that people are actually searching for that basically means the same thing, are you hiding? Then you also are helping the algorithm or whatever, Pinterest, to understand what your pin is about and show it to the right people too. So there's like a double whammy there when you use good copy on your Pinterest pins.
Yes, love that. So if somebody has been in business for a little bit, they've been creating content in other places, What types of content do you recommend that they bring onto Pinterest to kick that off?
Really everything. I mean, there's so many different things you can do. You can link to your blog posts, to your sales pages, to your landing pages. You can link to YouTube videos. You can link to even social posts, although that isn't usually historically the most awesome strategy, but YouTube works for sure. And then you can also repurpose content into idea pins, because idea pins are ideas that live right on the platform. So let's say you have a listicle article, for example. I know like one that I can think of that I love of yours is like 7 psychology principles that will help you grow your brand. You could create an idea pin about each one of those 7 and talk a little bit about each one in an idea pin, right? Just as an example, there's all kinds of ways to repurpose that content, but Pinterest is a great place to repurpose and amplify what you're already doing in other places. So that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so many possibilities, but I love those couple of ideas for strategy. Yeah.
Yeah, I know for sure we've worked together to create just a whole big batch of pins that go to like the different masterclasses and to the quiz and to all of those entry points into my different funnels, because they just continue to convert and they continue to drive traffic and they continue to work, which is magical.
Yes.
I always like to say, I hate doing the business dishes. I hate doing things you have to do again and again and again.
Yeah.
And yes, there's a place for it, but Pinterest is that beautiful, like quiet antidote to that never ending cycle.
Exactly. Yeah, it definitely can help you be less dependent on the social media channels that just seem to be like these bottomless pits of, needing constant, needing constant content. Yes.
What does it look like for the typical business in terms of time commitment? Like, what does it take to do well on the platform?
Yeah, I usually recommend for people who are like us, coaches and course creators, to spend, around 4 to 6 hours a month on their Pinterest strategy. So you can kind of divide that up a little bit in different ways. You can kind of batch most of it, once per month. But generally, I usually am suggesting to people that they consider budgeting about 4 to 6 months. And that can be a combination of your time and your team's time, whether that means now because you have a team, or if you want to get the strategy in place now and then delegate it down the road to an existing team member or someone that you bring on to do this. So, yeah.
What do your offers look like right now? Do you do audits of people's accounts?
Yeah, I have a 45-minute pick my brain call, which I really want to rename that thing. It's so off brand for me. Can we do some naming brainstorming while we're here?
Gosh.
I think I might rename it like Ask Me Anything at some point or something like that. But anyway, I digress. So, and I do use those for audits. So that is one way that I do a live audit with people and go through their Pinterest profile and point out some things that could be improved or give them kind of a kickstart to get started. So that's just, a very quick 45-minute call that can be used in those different ways. And then I have my 2 courses, Pinterest with Purpose, which helps you get set up strategically. And then I have Idea Pin Brilliance, which is the course that teaches people how to create idea pins that actually grow their audiences and their influence and their income. Because a lot of people are very vexed by what in the world idea pins are and how they can actually make you money. So that's what that course is all about.
I love it. I love it. Amazing. Tell me, okay, kind of like final Pinterest question, then we'll move into just a few other shorter questions. But what do people get wrong? What are the most common mistakes that people make?
Yeah, like not to sound like a broken record, but it's really the keywords are really the big thing. People kind of jump in and they might be hearing through the grapevine, maybe they hear this podcast or they hear in their mastermind that someone in their space is using Pinterest to, get clients and get leads for their programs and things. And so they jump in one Saturday or whatever and they get excited and they just build out their profile and they just pin things that they like and they make boards based on nutrition and, the things that, are the big topics. And then they kind of look at it and they go, wait a minute, how's this going to work? like this was fun, but so I think that the big thing that people get wrong is not coming at it, like understanding that it's a search engine and setting it up based on a keyword strategy. And that sounds fancy, but it really isn't hard. You just need kind of a framework, to follow a step-by-step kind of way to do it.
Yeah.
It's not hard. It just, you need to have a process. And once you understand how people are going to find your pins, it's because they're searching for things that match up with what your content and your offers are about. and you start thinking of it that way, you realize that, oh, okay, my boards probably need to have keywords on them. And, things like that start to become more clear. So it's not social media. And if you try to like just jump in there and set it up and then like try to set it up like it's Instagram and use it that way, it probably is going to be confusing to you. So I think that's the big thing people really get wrong.
Yeah, I think this is true of all the platforms, but there's a definite difference between using the platform as a consumer and as a business. And you have to think about it as a business owner, if that's your intent.
Yeah.
If you're expecting results. Yeah. All my like Whole30 recipes and home decor, those are all secret.
Right. Exactly.
We don't have those on the public board, but
right.
I do enjoy, using it as a consumer too. You just have to know which hat you're putting on.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Out. Exactly. And, some people listening might be like, well, why? I want to see your Whole30 recipes, Kaye, and that's cool. But the reason why we do that on Pinterest is, again, because it's not social media. The people that are finding Kaye are not searching for Whole30. They're searching for brand strategy and, psychology and things like that. So that's when we want them to find you. And if we're confusing Pinterest if we have Whole30 stuff on your profile, and Pinterest is like, oh, okay, well, we don't know who to show these pins to, or this profile, or these boards.
Yes. Love that. Any other big mistakes that people make often?
I think just stopping too soon. And again, I think it comes back to that, like not getting those dopamine hits. When we start on TikTok or we start on Instagram, like even if we don't see results right away, we kind of keep going because like there's something about it, we know this is going to work and it's fun and whatever. We have this like peer-to-peer, like we're all in this together. And Pinterest is in some ways more like Google SEO. When you start a Google SEO strategy, it can feel a little lonely, if that makes sense, because you're just like kind of waiting, and it's slower than social media because it snowballs over time and it gets easier over time. And it's the long game. We're playing a long game here. But so a lot of people, for all those reasons, just do it for a few months and they're like, nah, this isn't as fun as the dopamine hits. I'm not seeing how this is giving me results yet. It probably isn't, because 3 months isn't long enough on Pinterest to see results.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of an unfair advantage because I was an early adopter, I think, to Pinterest. So it's pretty easy for me now. But to this day, the ROI on the time and the effort that I put into Pinterest, if I'm evaluating it based on traffic, is exponential compared to almost any other platform.
Yeah.
I think YouTube is right up there with my results that I see, but like Instagram and Facebook and all of these other spaces where I spend a lot of time creating content and have a team that creates content, all that good stuff, it does not result in traffic like Pinterest does. So it is very worth it to spend the time, for sure.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So if you are feeling lonely in that journey, are you still doing the Clubhouse thing? What are you doing over there?
Yeah. So I basically open rooms and talk about Pinterest and about getting started with Pinterest. It's mostly a strategy for me, Clubhouse, that's about introducing new people to my content and getting new people over to like my website and my email list and the places where I really go deeper on the content. So, yeah, but it's good.
Nice.
And it's a great place to come find me if anybody just wants to kind of hang out or has questions and they want to come to stage and ask. I do, like a Q&A type of thing from time to time. So, yeah.
Nice. Okay. I'd like to, before we ask you the final two questions, you have a masterclass that people can check out. We're going to put it in the description and the links, but tell us what it is.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So it's called the 5 Secrets for Using Pinterest to Grow Your Audience on Autopilot and Get Clients. And it's very much geared toward coaches and course creators and service-based businesses. So there are a lot of other businesses that do well on Pinterest, e-commerce sellers and affiliate marketers and whatnot. But I've always focused my offers on the things that work for coaches and course creators. So basically the things we were just talking about how Pinterest is a search engine, the 5 secrets really that I teach in that masterclass for free really revolve around understanding, okay, now I know Pinterest is a search engine, but what does that mean for me? What do I need to do differently to get started on it in a way that that I'm not going to waste my time? So it's there to help people who want to kind of dip their toe in for free and figure out, whether this is a good place for them to understand the things you need to know to actually do things differently because it is a search engine so that you'll get better results faster. And yeah, I mean, they're secrets, so I can't go through all of them. You have to get into the masterclass to get the secrets. But that's really essentially what they are, is to help you get better results faster and not get frustrated and run away.
Love it. Yeah, we'll have the link to that. Okay. So as you know, because you've been in my orbit for a long time, the people that find me and find us, they love to learn. So I like to ask all of my guests, when you are trying to tackle something new, what is your strategy for learning?
I mean, I pretty much am like the person who buys the course, basically, because I feel like I want to shortcut my learning. I don't want to spend my whole weekend trying to figure something out myself. And I think that's how my brain works too. Like when it comes to trying to fix something around the house, like I get frustrated really fast and my husband has to do it. So I think that's how my brain works when it comes to learning something in business too. Like I just want to get to it and know how it works and just do the thing. So I buy a course if I want to learn something new.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Such an incredible shortcut. And then if you could like airdrop a kernel of knowledge into everybody that is listening or watching, what would you want everybody to know?
Don't forget in your business, and this is kind of Pinterest related, but not, that you don't have to always be creating something new. If you put a really good like content repurposing plan into place, you're going to save time, be more omnipresent, and also underscore your messages and help people, know what you're all about and remember you. So I don't know if that's the kind of thing you mean, but for me, I think that's such a big principle in everything that I teach. So if people can appreciate that and really internalize that, it makes a big difference, I think, in their businesses and in their content strategies.
Love that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Jana, for sharing your Pinterest genius with us today. I'm so grateful for you.
Thank you, as I am for you.
I hope you enjoy Jana's genius as much as I do. Be sure to check out that free masterclass on her site, janaomedia.com. It is a treasure trove of even more insight and information about Pinterest marketing that you can apply to your brand. If you have a moment, head over to Instagram and let Jana know that you appreciate her showing up here and sharing what she knows with us. I will see you guys next time.